Hey, welcome to Toontyme, bringing you Newcastle United news and discussion. The international break is coming to a close, and we're going into the final acts of the season. There's a lot to look forward to at both ends of the Premier League. You know, um, the relegation fight looks really interesting from a neutral point of view, and thankfully we're nowhere near it. Eddie Howe, managed to steady the ship for us last season and brought us through quite smoothly towards the end of last season, and he carried it on throughout this season, which has made for a really positive experience. Considering, uh, well, I know for myself, and I believe for the majority of the fan base, where many years of it was just inertia. I think that's the best word to use. That it just didn't feel like we were going anywhere anytime soon, and to see where the club is, the trajectory just over the past 18 months is incredible. And no matter what happens at the end of this season, it's a brilliant achievement. Whatever the lads do. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if we can manage to get into the European places. Hopefully, it will be a dream to get into the top four, even though it'll be a bit premature for this squad. I feel like that's what everyone wants to see happen. It'll be like a cherry on top for us, no matter where we finish, because we're pretty much guaranteed to finish. I would say in the top eight, to be honest, because the form isn't going to fall off that much. No matter what happens, we are going to pick up some victories because the way we went into the international break, we were extremely hot. Alexander Isaac was on fire. You know, the team was starting to click, and we were finishing off moves, and maybe not as much goals as we should have been getting. Because I remember that Nottingham Forest game, we should have probably beat them maybe 4-1. To be honest, 3-4-1 would have been a more fair reflection of the game, and against Wolves we were very good as well. Even though we got lucky with Nick Pope not getting sent off, but it's one of those things. Even that when that happened, I was I don't know what was happening there, but yeah, that the balance of that game, we deserved something from the pair of the games before the international break, and thankfully we managed to get 6 points from from the 6 points that were available. So, like I was saying, yeah, to finish in the European places will be really important for this squad. To get into the Champions League would be great, obviously, but it'd be a bit premature because even though it will raise our profile, which I feel that's what would be good for us, even though we would struggle pretty much in the Champions League, it would help us get certain players. And one thing, if we did manage to do it, we might not be able to spend crazily, but we could maybe get those younger players who are being looked at, and they've got high potential, but they might be available for a lower price, and they might be more willing to join Newcastle because they see the project and how it's progressing very quickly. But regardless, just to get into Europe will be important because it help us with the squad, and the players in the fringes of the squad will be able to get more minutes. The youth players will be able to get onto the bench for the European games, and that would be a good experience for them to be able to go overseas and see different places, different cities, and to get those experiences. To build up their confidence, to build up their expectations for their own careers, and that's what you want to see. That these young players will start to have uh, that ambition just become heightened within them, that there's opportunities and they can reach, and maybe get those minutes, get those cameos even, and they can try and make a name for themselves. And because that's what's happened, with teams that are regularly in Europe, you know, um, they have the young players who are on the fringes, and they'll get some minutes in the late stages of European games, and they can showcase their ability, which helps them get into the first team squad, into the training, and keeps them in the manager's eye line. So hopefully we can finish really strongly this season. We've got that game against Manchester United on Sunday, and they're missing Casemiro. They've been a bit flaky. They're starting to look flaky again. They got beat up by Liverpool, which everyone knows, that 7-0 beatdown. And then they're just alright. They managed to get through to the Europa League, I think, quarterfinals now, and I think they did respond relatively positively. But I think they drew Southampton, and what was their last game? I think their last game, yeah, their last game was against Southampton. So there's a flakiness to them. They're not unbeatable, and we should want to avenge that loss in the Carabao Cup final, because we made a good account of ourselves, to be honest, and they were just more clinical on the day. So it is up to us to show the passion at St James Park and to get a really positive result, and that will put us above them in the league as well, and I think that will rack their confidence, if we can manage to do that and start to just put the cat amongst the pigeons. Tottenham, they're in disarray a bit. They've just lost Antonio Conte. Liverpool they're a bit flaky as well. And who was their last game against? Yeah, their last game in the league after beating Manchester United 7-0, they lost away to Bournemouth. So there's a lot of possibilities for us. We've got a decent run. We've got some tough games at home. Tottenham, Manchester United, Arsenal. We've got to go to Chelsea, and they've been a bit resurgent. We're facing a few teams in the relegation places like West Ham, Everton, and some other teams. But yeah, it's that's what we have to manage to do, and try to continue to move forward, and make a good account of ourselves in the games that remain. Yeah. So we'll have to see what's going to happen as this season draws to a close, because I do believe we've got a really good opportunity to make a push for the top four, and even if we don't, just to finish in the Europa League, either conference or league places, will be really important for the squad going forward, and it will help attract more players of a certain quality, and to see that they can be at the grassroots of this project and really enshrine themselves in Newcastle United folklore by being here right at the start of the project. More players like Bruno have the idea to think to themselves, you know what, maybe I should join them now and make myself really important to the fan base, and not be seen as a mercenary, to come to the team when we're no longer down in the dumps like last season, but we are very much at the initial stages of the development of the club. We've just seen that the club is making those important moves to improve the infrastructure, and when I say infrastructure, I mean like the staffing of the youth development side of the club, which has been neglected for an unbelievable amount of time. It's ridiculous considering Newcastle have access to a big portion of the northeast region, which has produced talented players for many years. And the fact that we're behind Sunderland is just crazy to me, because I've never understood why you wouldn't take advantage of having all of those potential young players and trying to develop them. Even if you don't have them playing for Newcastle, you have that ability to develop them and move them on, and maybe even if you don't sell them for a big initial fee, you have sell-on fees. It's like it's something that I personally don't understand in football, because I don't think it costs that much for a club to build up its youth development, and the potential, well, still not a good word to use, but the potential profits are exponential. It's it will pay for itself eventually. You will eventually produce. You only have to produce two, three talents of a substantial nature, and you made your money back in those few transfers. I mean, look how Chelsea, they've used the academy to fund themselves for since when Abramovich was there, and you look at them now, how many players that they've sold throughout the leagues. It's crazy. Manchester City are doing the same thing. Liverpool have done it where um well, some of the players I've seen them sell is crazy. The likes of like Harry Wilson, is it Ryan Brewster, and Dominic Solanke. There's a lot of players who don't get me wrong, they are good top level type players, and I don't mean like they're like cream of the crop or anything, but they're relatively consistent for like the lower level of the Premier League, top of the Championship, or top middle of the Championship. And that might not sound like a lot, but those players are going for between players who are starting for top of the Championship and lower Premier League. You're looking at between 10 to 25 million pounds for those players. So if Newcastle just if that's that, then Ashworth understands that. Obviously, we want to produce the talents for Newcastle United's playing staff, but some of them won't make the cut, and being good enough to go to teams who are at the top of the Championship or just been promoted, or teams that may be fighting relegation. It can only help the club grow. Obviously, I would love to see any player that Newcastle are developing going to the first team squad, but it's just the reality of the game that not everyone's gonna make it, or they might not make it initially at Newcastle United, but they have to go a different journey. Just have to look at players like Ivan Toney, Adam Armstrong, who didn't really make it with Newcastle United, but they dropped down to the Championship to the Championship for Adam Armstrong and League One for Ivan Toney, and look at where they are now. Like, Armstrong's playing Premier League football for Southampton after doing very well at Blackburn, sorry, and Ivan Toney's still at Brentford after thriving at Peterborough, and he's just thriving. Now he's playing for England, and he's if a team was to buy him now, it'd be for a crazy amount. Even when Peterborough sold him, Newcastle made quite a good amount of money after Salam fee. So hopefully that's what we'll see going forward. I've gone a bit off track, but it's just those things that I want to see continue within the club. This is where you see Dan Ashworth's worth to the club. To be honest, his ability to create that pathway and that communication from youth all the way to the first team squad. And the way things are done, the philosophy of the coaching, and the way that the young players are expected to act, the way the first team players are expected to act. That professionalism that is becoming increasingly evident throughout the club is gonna help us become better and better. Yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to talk quickly about everything that's we've got coming up. It's gonna be a really exciting end to the season. Can't wait to see what's going to happen. I'm gonna do a preview of the Manchester United game in the next couple of days. It's gonna be something similar, just talking about how I feel we can get a result against them, because I really do feel like they've got a lot of deficiencies that we can possibly exploit. And the way that Eddie Howe plays is he does try and take the nettle, but take the rose by its thorns. you know the saying. This, he's not gonna be fearful of what Manchester United are going to bring to us. He's gonna make certain that the team's solid and compact in defence, but he's gonna make Manchester United have to answer some questions. And we've seen throughout the season that their defence does have weaknesses in it, and without Casemiro, that midfield is not the best. It really isn't. They've got a lot of work to do, and we've got Joe Linton coming back as well. So it's gonna be very interesting how they deal with what we're gonna be bringing on Sunday. So yeah, I hope you can tune in to the next show, and wherever you are, have a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Peace.